welcome to all our guests. Tune in this soaring heated afternoon and rather good evening to all of you. It's past 4 p.m. Thank you for tuning in for today's HR Speak, episode 9 of season 4. Our speaker today is Avishek Roy, a very good blend of learning and HR is what we have for today. And personally, I am looking forward to today's session as I hail from the learning sector as well. So introducing Avishek, he is the CHRO, India, McCormick and Company. Avishek is HR professional with 18 plus years of versatile HR experience across multiple sectors, including manufacturing, OEMs, information technology, and FMCG. He has rich and diverse knowledge in talent management, capability building, HR systems and processes, organization design and development. Avishek has been awarded with multiple awards, including the DMA Thompson Award for L&D Innovation of 2016, TIS Leap World CLO Award for the Best L&D Team of 2017. In 2018, Pepsico Chairman's Award, the Global Harvey C. Russell Award. Congratulations for so many accolades, Avishek. He's a Hogan certified coach and certified facilitator for multiple programs like Speed of Trust. His previous stints were with SR Steel, GE, PepsiCo, and Nourish Co. Beverages. So this is about Avishek from what we already know probably. Avishek, warm welcome to you and over to you for more about you.
Okay. First of all, thanks a lot for having me here on this forum, and thanks to all of the participants who have joined in. I mean, Saturday afternoon with this heat outside, it's not, so I'm privileged to have so many people joining in the session. So what is it that beyond this that people don't know about me? So what people don't know about me, that I have grown up in the same part of the world to which I'm speaking in. So I've grown up in a place called Dhanbad. I'm sure everyone in that part of the world will know. It's the coal capital of India. I come from 2 generations of Tata employees. So my grandfather, my father, and all my uncles had a stint with the Tatas. And it's been long that I have been to that part of the world. So I'm the first one from the family who moved out of the Tatas, in fact. So it's a story in itself, and maybe some other day we'll talk about it. And then when I joined, been 17, 18 odd years, and as I was speaking to Sweata, it was good to take a pause and look back. Having said that, I'm married to a classmate of mine who's again from the same part of the world, and my 10-year-old keeps me engaged these days. And all of you who have sons and daughters will know how hectic is it to stay engaged with a 10-year-old. So that's more about me. The other interesting tidbit, if I may say so, between me and my wife's side, we are almost 14 to 15 members in HR. So that's another trivia if you would want to know about me. So that's about me as an individual. What do I do when I don't do work? Couple of things. I'm a current affairs maniac. So I am on the news most of the time, trying to understand what's happening all around. And these days, more so, the whole world seems to be boiling all around. Having said that, the piece that helps me unwind is soulful music. I guess every Bengali has their root into music, food. So both of them are my weaknesses as well. And Jagjit Singh happens to be a favorite. Jagjit Singh, Kishore Kumar are the favorite ones. So that's what I do. I mean, that's some of the things that people may not know. And the other one, which I wear as a badge of honor, is that I'm a software. I have learned software development, and I have a software in my name, which is there in the Delhi market. Early days, but interestingly, when I didn't think about being in HR, I did work on HR, and it's a recruitment software way back in 2001.
That's
That's
great to know
about me.
about you.
That's about me, Shweta.
That's great to know about you, Abhishek. Some of your achievements while you were in your earlier days in Dhanbad, accomplishments.
Sure. A lot of them have been around, some of them have been sports and in schools. I have represented my school in football. That in itself was a proud moment. And then as any middle class, any person growing up in a middle class family, education is the center of everything that you do while growing up. So it was good to be in the top 10 of my MBA class and my graduation class. But having said that, I'm not someone, I must confess that I've never been a brilliant student all throughout. So early years, I have also seen struggling days when you need to find time between football and studies, right? So class 9th onwards, your parents, everybody around you do not let you falter. So 9th onwards, I've become serious in studies, and that showed up later on in my career or the things that I've done.
Great. And what kind of sports did you enjoy?
Well, I mean, the years then when we grew up, sports was very limited. Three sports used to be the center of everyone: cricket, hockey, and football. I was passionate, very passionate about cricket, and still am. But football was something that as I said, I represented my school, so it was natural that I was interested with football.
Oh, wow. And anyone who was your inspiration or idol at that time or still
Yeah,
is?
being a Bengali, it's hard not to be a fan of the blue and white stripes. So I obviously Maradona has been someone that I have always looked up to, and someone who's a character by himself, right? He's not the quintessential footballer or the professional, right? And again, I'll say, and this is where I'm more and more reminded of the other Bengal cricketer who made it big, right? Saurav, be it Maradona, all of them are leaders by themselves, and every leader has a different side to him or her. And I think that's what attracts me to both of them. So yes, Maradona has been someone that I look up to for the sheer passion he brings into the sport, into what he does, and the work that he has spoken about. I mean, he has been there. The way he played his football, the way he coached the side, and whatever he did. It's unfortunate the world lost him a few years ago, but he will always be Maradona.
Great, Abhishek. And in fact, to quote him, he says, I am Maradona who makes goals, who makes mistakes. And that's the boldness and beauty of idols and sportsmanship.
Oh yeah, go
Right.
ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So with this spirit, we take the conversation forward. It's about goals and it's about how we learn through the experiences of making mistakes and course correcting. Your journey has been fantabulously molded from right from learning to HR. And that's what makes us more greedy to know how did this entire transition happen
Mhm.
and across organizations. So whether it's the steel plant or GE in the OEM or Pepsi, McCormick, how was this entire journey about?
Okay, let me start with Maradona again. You spoke about his quote that I am Maradona who makes goals and who also makes mistakes. And that's a fantabulous statement because being the star he was, accepting that he can also make mistakes is a big thing, right? And it takes a lot to be that vulnerable in front of the world. And that vulnerability, that acknowledgement gives, most probably gives everyone the strength to stand up again. And I must confess, before I start talking about my own journey, that I have made mistakes, I have learned from them. And that reminds me of the other quote that Maradona had spoken about, which goes like, when people succeed, it's because of the hard work. Luck has nothing to do with success, though I slightly disagree, and I have to, because otherwise the hand of God would never have happened, right? So yes, luck plays its role. God, I mean, the people call about God. People talk about extraordinary power, whatever you call it. There are those elements in the environment who play their role, but at the end of the day, it's 99% of perspiration, right? That 1% inspiration can happen from anywhere. So yes, so I'm to start with, I must say I've been lucky to have worked with people who has taken interest in developing me, who have shown their blessings on me, and that has what has helped me gain this uh, gain this experience. And I must accept it's a very unique experience that I have been happy to go through. Talk about some that what I learned. So SR Steel is where I started off, straight from college, right? And SR Steel was all about learning the basics, doing the basics, learning from it. And one thing which came in very handy and my early learnings is that as you are building those networks with people, as you are meeting people, building those relationships, network always pays you back. And I'll speak about it in another part of the discussion today. But having spoken about it, I could I could see a lot of benefit that I could garner just because of the relationships I built in when I went into that big plant. I mean, a steel plant, as most of us from the eastern part of the world will know, is a huge complex. There are too many things happening, too many people. So we had almost about 2,500 people. And I was lucky to do the first employee engagement survey, and that meant, and we did it in hard copies. That gave me an opportunity as a management trainee to move from shop floor to shop floor, meet people, talk to them, understand them. And the network that I built because of that, the 3 years that I spent in SR was fabulous. And I could do a lot of things when I was there. The other piece that always stays there with me about SR is putting your hand up and taking up those difficult assignments, which most probably other colleagues of yours, and there's some disturbance somewhere, Shweta. So as you go around those and putting your hand up for those experiences at that point in time seems silly, but I have reaped the benefits of doing exactly that. To give you an example, I was part of the management trainee group, almost 10 HR management trainees. I was supposed to be based out of Mumbai at the headquarters, doing a very different assignment. And one of my colleagues who was placed at the plant uh, had gone back with a request that she is not comfortable being at a plant which is at a remote place. I was asked whether I'll be open to that switch, and I took it up. And thanks to XISS, where I have grown up with my MBA in HR, for putting it into me that plant stint is the one where you learn the best as an HR professional to start your career with. And that's when I did that. That's exactly that gave me that opportunity. And there were multiple such opportunities during the 3 year stint where other people left an assignment, which I picked it up, and I could turn it around. I could learn a lot of things. I can build a lot of relationships. So that was about SR. I still cherish those relationships. Almost quite a few of those relationships are active relationships. Even today, I can still pick the phone up and talk to quite a few of them, and those relationships have stayed with me. And you'll hear about this relationship building all throughout, and that is something uh, all those people who have been in the industry will, I'm sure, will echo with me that those relationships become critical for someone to deliver across the years. Then came the opportunity very luckily, I got to work for General Electric. It was a dream company at that point in time. And so it was a no-brainer for me when the GE opportunity came up to take it up. And within 3 years of my professional journey, I had the opportunity to lead a site all by myself. So I was the individual HR lead for that site in Mumbai. It was a software site. So straight away from a steel plant into managing a software organization, that in itself was a great, again, I put my hand up for something which others wouldn't have done at that point in time. So G stint was about 5.5 years. And again, G is one place that I learned a lot of things. Some of the things I spoke about independent operations. So it was early, I mean, we speak about all these idioms around that if you had to learn swimming, you need to jump into the pool and jump into the deep end of the pool. So I was managing this site. I had no predecessor. This was an acquisition that GE had done, and they wanted an HR manager on the site. Till before me, it was being managed from US. So I had to pick up everything and start all over. Startup was not a big word in those years, early 2006. But that was my startup experience, and that kind of remained with me, that organizational building experience that I got with GE. So across those 5 years, so running independent operations, business partnering, that gave me a lot of, that independent stint gave me a lot of opportunity to partner with the business, understand the business, take up policies, practices in HR, which were more aligned with what the business wants while staying within the HR domain, HR framework. I can't, I mean, if there is ever that I learned processes, that is what that was at GE. In GE, if you worked in those days, processes used to be the base of everything that you did. And the way we used to talk about it is that if you have followed the process, forget it, the results will happen. So that's what GE had taught me about processes. And then finally, M&A. GE being GE, I had quite a few opportunities to be part of mergers and acquisitions, and those experiences have been very handy for me as I've grown up through the career. So that's GE. GE, post GE, I moved from Bombay to Delhi during my GE stint, and I was about to move to Hyderabad when my wife said enough of this moving around. So I had to give up my GE career at Hyderabad because GE wanted me to move to Hyderabad to be part of the GE Capital business. And that's when Pepsi happened. And Pepsi is, again, a very different organization, something that I think every HR person should do an FMCG stint, just because of the speed and rigor that an FMCG organization brings to you. If you have to be successful in that kind of a organization, you need to have speed, you need to have rigor. And I must confess, my first 1 year, I have post the 3 months, there every second month I thought, have I done a mistake? So I've gone through that first year, but post that first year, it was again a great stint, and I stayed there for almost 7.5 years. I joined them as an HR manager for the foods business at the corporate headquarters. From there on, I went on to become a part of the HR leadership team for Pepsico India, led the beverages franchise business and the partnership business with the Tatas. So a lot of learning even in PepsiCo. I spoke about speed and rigor. The way we used to talk about it is that take as many shots that you can take at the goal, and then your chances to succeed will increase multifold. So that's one thing that I still carry with me. People orientation. While G spoke about processes, at times it can be very cold from that perspective. But Pepsi spoke about networking. Pepsi, a lot of the work got done because you picked up the phone and spoke to the other person and shared your perspective, accommodated the other person's perspective, and then you aligned each other and moved ahead. So that was a big learning. Uh, the other big learning, two big learnings personally, I got the opportunity to work with a board because of the Tata JV was reporting into a board. So it was a great experience again. And then I had the opportunity to turn around that business. The Narishko business was a turnaround experience for me, and we went on to make the first profit for Narishko beverages in 2018 or 2017. That was a big high in my career, and that's when I started harboring the dream of that I have arrived, I can be a CHRO. And that's when I started looking out, and happy to have found McCormick. This is the third, almost another 3 months, and then I'll be 3 years at McCormick. Again, this is a very different organization. This is an organization where the credo that while every business speaks about it, every organization speaks about it, that people are their assets. This is an organization, having worked for GE and PepsiCo, I can tell you that this is an organization which definitely put people first. To give you an example, last year at the height of COVID, end of March, we said the numbers started increasing. The first thing that my regional president and the global organization, be it the global CHRO or the global CEO, the first thing they said is, don't bother about anything else. If all of you want to take the next 1 month off because you have family members, do that. Don't bother about work. First, cater to your personal emergency. I've not seen many organizations, hardly any organization, to be fair, would have done that. So I look up to McCormick with a lot of gratitude, a lot of respect for having that thought in itself. It's not that other organizations didn't go out of their way to support their employees, but without the drop of a hat, they said, first focus on your family, on yourself, work will happen. So it is not that we did very different things, but the support from the business, global business and the local business was a big booster for the employees in India, right? The biggest learning has been in the last 2 years. I mean, within 6 months of my stint as the head of HR for Comics India business, we entered the COVID era, and life will no longer be same after the COVID era, right? So a lot of learning during that crisis, managing that crisis, put HR at the front and center of everything that was happening. At the same time, we went through multiple change transformations within the organization. And I look at this opportunity as an opportunity where the learnings that I have picked up at GE, at SR, at PepsiCo, this is an opportunity to implement. And finally, last year, when I got elevated to do Southeast Asia as well, it was a dream come true, because after 17 years, I got another opportunity to learn something new. Because while we say we are all part of Asia, but I can tell you in the last 6 to 8 months, every country has their own different culture. They have their own nuances, and that's the learning that I'm going through now. And I'm so very thankful to McCormick to give me that opportunity at this part of my career where I'm getting to learn again and learn something new. So that's about me, Shweta, and the learnings that I've picked up over the years.
Well, I just lost count of, time when I was going through these inspiring stories of learning agility that you have demonstrated right from the beginning of your career. And how well you have thrived on the blind side is something commendable. And this is something I would request our bloomers of today, people who are looking for growth in their organization. I mean, he has just demonstrated that it is not just the vertical where you join, but if you really have the instinct, the speed, the tenacity in you, this is where you can be. And with that, tell me something, Abhishek. The movement that you have gone through, like right from steel plant to now McCormick, different sectors, different experiences that you have been through. I'm sure you have been guided by the right mentors to achieve where you've come to. Any specific or inspiring mentor in your life you would want to talk about?
There have been many. There have been many. Each of my managers, they have, as I started by saying, each one of them have had that belief in me, had that confidence in me, invested in me. But there are a couple of them that I'll definitely call out. One is definitely Shailesh Singh, who used to be my first manager in GE, the HR side of the business. He used to be in Delhi, and one thing that he spoke to me when I was getting hired, and when I joined the business. I was operating from Bombay. He was based out of Delhi. So the only guidance that he gave me when I was going back after joining in here in Delhi to take charge, his one line was, Abhishek, whatever decision you make, just remember that if that decision comes to my table, I hope that I don't need to turn it around. Just keep that at the back of your mind when you are making any call. That learning has stayed with me till now, that think through the decisions that you make, because if the person in front of you is not happy about it, there are avenues available to that individual to take it up, and it doesn't look good on you if every other decision that you are making and your manager has to turn it around. So that's a big learning. I'm still friends with him. I still go back to him for all my suggestions. He's a mentor. The other one that I'll talk about, who's a big mentor to me, is Mr. Shiv Kumar. A lot of you may be aware about him. He was with HUL for a long period of time, then the CEO of Nokia, practically built that brand in India in the telecom industry, then the CEO of Pepsico. And I was lucky to be doing my L&D stint when he was the CEO of the business. Never been part of a business leader who had so much belief in HR and more so in learning and development. I've done a lot of work with his guidance. The big one that I always remember is something that we created called a forum we created called the Masterclass at PepsiCo. And it was done with a simple belief that every organization becomes very inside out in its focus when they work, right? And you need to start becoming outside in your focus if you have to succeed as an organization, as a business. And the biggest learning that I got there is when I spoke about networking at the start of my stint at SR. This is again one learning, one quote, if I have to quote from my mentor, is that the network has an elephantine memory. He always says that. And let me elaborate that into a little more. We all work with vendors, we all work with various service providers who are service providers to us, and we at times are service providers to someone else. For that matter, HR in itself is a service organization. So many organizations don't have and this is something we don't focus because it falls below the radar, is how we treat our partners, how we treat our people who work with us who are not part of our organization. Mind you, each one of these people are your ambassadors, as your individual ambassadors. So let me take an example. As an HR manager, will I be working with? I'll be working with the government agencies. I'll be working with the employee relations organizations or the unions or the recruitment partners. Now think about it. You are doing this role here and you are building a certain reputation, good or bad. Next time, if let me make it a little more focused. You're working with hiring agencies. you're not treating them well. You're not giving them the right opportunities. You're not giving them the good feedback. The transparency is low. You're not building that relationship. Tomorrow, you will be applying somewhere. You would have grown in your career. You would have applied somewhere. Most probably, the organization hiring you will be reaching out to informal channels to find out about you. And if they happen to reach out to these people, think what is the feedback that they will get. Oh, he doesn't know how to treat partners. He doesn't know how to work with people. So remember that it comes back. And I can tell you from my experience, when I was interviewing, McCormick reached out to people that I work with just to pick up exactly this feedback. How does Avishek react at work? So when he says that elephant network has an elephantine memory, it's so true. Not only to help you to grow. Supposedly, I have moved from PepsiCo, I have moved from GE. Even today, when I need to get something done, I need a partner. I fall back to my partners at GE. I fall back to my partners at PepsiCo because they brought something to the table, and that helps. So you need these partners all through. So never be short-sighted about the relationships that you are building, because these are all long-term relationships and they come around. It's like if feed forward, right? So if you do one thing good, sometimes someone else will come back and pay it back to you. So that's a big one. The other one, being in HR, let me call this out, and more so in today's world, we are in a world of great resignation, mass resignations, and the IT world is going through that. This is again something Shiv talks about, that as an HR organization and more and all obviously as an employer, we need to move. See, the world has moved. It's no more the employer world, it's the employees world today. So they have multiple choices to make. And as an HR leader, if you're not thinking of engaging your employees as volunteers, it will be difficult to retain, because today's employees have multiple opportunities. So they are not here to make money. Someone will be there to make money, but most of them are moving beyond money. So what is it that's going to keep them engaged? And the way to think about this relationship is, how do you keep your volunteers engaged, right? Think NHRD. NHRD is not a full-time job for many of us, right? We are here, we have passion for the function, we partner with it. How is it that NHRD is able to keep all of us engaged as participants, as people who are part of the office bearing, or part of the all the office bearers? They're doing it out of their sheer passion, because they believe in something that NHRDN is doing, and they will also be able to be beneficial because of that association. So that is what I'm talking about, that engage your employees as volunteers. So these are the two big ones that I'll talk about. Primarily, people should be at the center of whatever you are doing, Shweta.
Thank you so much for giving us so much of information and insight into what we can think about as a topic in itself, as to how networking is the fulcrum of business and of the sensitivities which hold around HR. And of course, in doing that, how do we pay it forward, especially mentioned in most of the books of Marshall Goldsmith. Uh, so tell me more, Abhishek. You said learning experiences, and you said several instances and stories of processes, people working around different sectors. Can you give us a story of what did not work out well and you evolved as a better professional from that situation?
Sure. So let me start with my stint at PepsiCo, the last stint, in fact. So last stint, I was there for about 2.5 years as the HR head for the beverages franchise business. And as a part of that extension, also was leading the HR business for the Tata PepsiCo JV called Nourishco. Tatas are a very different organization, and this is something I should have been much more aware about it. I come from a Tata family, right? I've grown up in a Tata family, so I've seen what works there, what doesn't work there. At the same time, I was part of PepsiCo. I was a co-opted as a common employee into the JV. In the initial 3 to 4 months, I went in. Pepsi, having worked for PepsiCo, I had already built, I've got used to that speed, that rigor, right? That get it done, take as many shots as you can. Tata's has a very different approach to the world, approach to the business, and that created certain conflicts. And some of the conflicts was happening not because of my intent, not because of the intent from the other end, but because I have not invested in understanding where they are coming from. So one of the biggest learning that has helped me now in the McCormick career is understanding that you need to have patience. Not everybody is like you. Not everybody will have the same priorities that you want, right? Not everyone will have the same outlook or understanding or the priorities that I will have. And hence, that means you need to prepare better. You need to work on to understand which what is the right timing to get into something, and allow time for the other person to buy into the idea. So if I had to put it in a single line, I'll say have patience. If when you, and more so when you are in a senior role, allow something to develop, allow time for that buy-in from the other person. And this will be more and more important as you grow in your career. Because you can't do anything by yourself. You're a business partner at the end of the day. Your job is to get things done, facilitate things done, be it within your own team. I mean, there is one project that you can put your hands, roll up your sleeves, and you can do it yourself. But tomorrow you need your team to deliver it, right? So, and if you're not building that trust, if you're not building that understanding in your team, it's going to be difficult to get things done. And that's something that I have learned the hard way. But all of us don't need to learn it the hard way, right? The smart people in this group should learn from others' experience, and maybe my sharing of this be of help to them. You are on
Thank
mute.
you so much, Abhishek, for giving us these instances and basing it all around the value system of trust. And so is what is mentioned and is in the much acclaimed program called Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. So more about it. How do we now, with the understanding of